Hi, everybody. Welcome to AITA Pod. I'm Danny Vega, joined by my ex-co-host with the co-host, Sara Levine.
Hello. Oh my God. It's so good to see you, talk to you. Danny's wearing a very cool shirt, you guys.
Do you like it? Because I normally don't wear things that are this insane. It's, guys, to explain this shirt, it's the most chaotic thing. It's every single color ever. It's a lot.
It kind of is. At first I thought it was like a sort of patchwork pattern, but now I see it's like paisley. It's like demonic paisley arranged in like various flowers. Like there's truly a lot going on.
Yeah, my personality is still really not where I need it to be, but we're trying, people.
I like
we're going to
It's
talk
cool.
a little bit. Thank you. We're going to talk about Sarah's wedding update. Before we get into that, I'm just so excited because I told Sara I've been making cookies. I'm kind of in my hosting era, and I'm having people over constantly. I'm baking constantly. I'm making food constantly, and I'm finding myself really enjoying it. And I find that there's a pressure to clean and cook, and I love it. I get into a flow state. I listen to my music. And I was telling my friends about this in our group chat. They didn't like it or acknowledge it, but I still said it to them. That what I love about baking is like it takes roughly I don't know, to make 3 cakes that are very similar but distinct. It takes like barely any more effort than making 1 cake. And so that's my favorite thing about baking. I feel like I it's a cheat code. And then people are like, wow, you have 3 different cakes? And I'm like, yes, I do. Haha, cakes.
Yes. I feel like you got to start watching. Do you watch the Great British Baking Show?
I knew this was going to happen soon because I was like, baking is in the cultural lore, and that's where it all starts. Yeah, I'm going to have to watch it.
It's such a good show. It's so wholesome and relaxing. I stopped sleep. I didn't sleep well last night. I got to start watching that show again.
Every time I don't sleep well, I think about you. I forgot to reach out. I had a real stinker of a night, and I thought this is a Sara day.
Dang, what happened?
I actually have, it's salt. If I have too salty of a meal, God, I'm so fucking 35 right now. Yeah, that'll just wake me up. My body's
the salt hangover.
Salt hangover. And then actually I had a really shitty, I probably slept like 5 hours last night because I made quiche and I ate it late. So that could have been a high salt level. But also I think my brain was like, want more quiche, wake up.
That's so funny. Oh no.
But yeah, I'm really enjoying it, and it's bringing a lot of wonderful people into my life. And I am making cookies. For me, the cookies are almost too easy. But I do have a couple of, I've kind of rotated a couple different cookie recipes out, and I like to play the hits. I have these, it's the internet's most popular chewy cookie recipe. It has something like 21 million page views. It's really easy to make, and It's a super crowd pleaser. So I just make those cookies when I'm looking to play the hits, you know.
Wow.
But my passion is my cakes.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Look at us from cookie connoisseurs to now you're a cake baker.
Yeah, I guess I just like, you know what I like about a cake? The truth is, because I can eat a whole fucking cake. You know what I mean? If I eat a whole tray of cookies, that's like insane to me. But a cake is light and it's fluffy and I can eat the whole fucking thing.
Wow. I have never understood a statement less.
Well,
unless your cakes are like small, then whatever. You know.
No, they're not small. They're the size of a pie.
I mean, you always could eat like 5 chip cookies in one sitting. So
it's the thing is, I think knowing how the sausage is made on a cookie, I'm like, dog, this is literally butter and sugar. That's pretty much all it is, and flour. Whereas at least a cake rises, so a cake has more volume. So like it is more like filling and less caloric. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's still easily 2,000 calories, but whatever. Fuck it, it's my life.
Yeah, whatever.
So anyway, that's my little thing, just making food that's not great. But I'm learning, people, and it's getting better each and every day. I'm going to be cooking at Sarah's wedding. I'm just kidding. But tell us about the wedding drama.
Yeah, you'll be making the cake. No, I think our venue gives us a cake, so you're off the hook.
Oh, interesting. They threw a cake in there? That's a nice little add-on.
Yeah, we ended up going with it's not really a catering hall, but it definitely is an event space. I actually have to unfollow them on Instagram because I feel like every time I watch their stories, they'll be like, there's always like a bar mitzvah happening at our wedding venue. And I'm like, that's not the vibe I want to be giving, but So I got to stop watching these. And also, they're like the bougiest bar mitzvahs ever. I'm like, these kids' parents are spending way more money on their flowers than I'm even thinking about spending. So whatever. But yeah, no, I mean, we're kind of almost like done with the planning. I think the only vendor we haven't booked is the DJ. So
Wow.
chugging along.
I'd love to. No, thank you so much. I'd really love to.
No, I mean, I was like, I have thought about doing things like that, but I'm just like, I don't want to make my friends work my wedding.
Yeah, no, I really would be a terrible. Actually, no, I had the opportunity recently. So I don't know if you caught this lore, but so at our little co-working space, we did like a prom and I DJ'd
I saw that. That looked so fun.
It was so fun. Oh my God. What a time. And, you know, I did plan a DJ set and I like electronic music from roughly 2008 to 2014.
Perfect.
So, which nobody liked it at the time, right? Like EDM is already a pretty niche. So I'm like, you know, so excited. I'm working on my set all day. Thing is, you know, I'm a crowd pleaser. I show up, people hate it. People are like, play Toxic, bro. So I'm playing Toxic. I'm playing Chingy.
Oh,
you know,
Chingy. Oh man, definitely got to add that to the list.
I had to go. I had to play what somebody termed ratchet music, and I was like, it's what's getting them going.
It's getting the people. I think Ryan and my biggest point of contention is he actually really does not like early 2000s rap. And that is one of my favorite genres because it's like, that's when I was a teenager and everything was like so fun. And I have such a positive memory of like all Nelly and Chingy songs before we knew that Nelly was like maybe terrible. But he hates it. I'm like, what are we going to do?
It's, you know, I don't know what is the cause of that because I guess, is he not into hip hop at all? I mean, I kind of,
no, he loves hip hop. He just doesn't, I mean, he's like objectively, I think that era is like maybe objectively not good. And, you know, I can get behind that, I suppose. But, you know, when Paul Wall comes on, just something in your veins, just like whoosh. I think it's because this was back before I had problems in my life. You know, like, you know, our bar mitzvah music or whatever, whenever you were like 13 to 16, I feel like is the best music. College music is also still such amazing music because of the associations. I don't know.
I think there's a window of time and I think it's actually adulthood, the dawn of adulthood, which is like maybe 18 to 24-ish. Mm-hmm. Because that's where my music is kind of set. And what's interesting to me is I am now into new songs from that same era.
Oh, interesting.
And actually, I had this, speaking of my personality, I thought I had good music taste and I was like, I have my own thing. It's kind of indie rock. And I really thought that this was kind of like my music. And some MF use this term indie sleaze. And I put on the indie sleaze playlist and I was like, okay, there we go. Back to zero. Not my personality, literally a specific genre.
Damn.
Banger playlist though. I'm playing it all day.
I can see you as an indie sleaze. I don't really know what it means, but I feel like I do.
You know. You'll know it when you hear it and you'll be like, that's a bop.
Perfect.
That's a bop. Speaking of bops, classic podcast bit, the old palo tone. Sara is palo toned, people.
Oh my God, it's true. I'm palo tone pilled, or I don't really know what we're going to say. But yeah, I got one. It's actually behind me. I got one when we moved. I got like a used one off Facebook Marketplace. And our old building had Pelotons in the gym. So I was like, okay, I kind of like this, whatever. Now I'm like so into it. I feel like I do one of their workouts most days. And I even, on Friday, I went to the studio. I took a class in person. I like got a picture with my favorite instructor. I literally work for Katie Couric and I see my Peloton instructor and I'm like, oh my God, I'm starstruck. Like, I don't know what to say. Or Alex Toussaint. Like, so that is my story.
You did an acoustic palo tone session. That's beautiful. I love that for you.
Thank you.
I love that. That's so great. Well, that's fun. So Sara and I, as is our tradition, we've basically been texting each other quite a bit of things. So we're going to just cover what was in the text thread. This is something I sent you. And it's actually pretty frequently bandied about by the listeners, or at least I should say the commenters. This term "pick me."
Ooh.
And I don't really like, I'm going to be honest with you commenters, I don't like when you throw that at my women guests because first of all, I seldom agree with it. It's often used whenever a woman defends a man in any capacity, and I think that's
True.
Ridiculous. For me, the pick me is this comment. This is a post on Ask Men Over 30. So they went to a male subreddit to ask all the males.
Mm-hmm.
They write, Does your wife have friends? Honestly, my husband is my best friend. I find other females so annoying. I'd just rather not. Is this a thing in your household too?
No. See, that is like classic pick me. I think also, I mean, just like girl and any term that exists in the fucking world now is like, I feel pick me it tends to be, not tends to, but it obviously can be over applied. But this right here, anytime, I mean, I'm not like other girls, boom. I don't get along with other women. I find them annoying, shrill, like whatever, blah, blah, like boom. Those are like all the hallmarks of a pick me. Guys just get me better. They're less drama. No, those are all pick me.
It's hallmarks. A red flag. It's a red flag for me. I think this is an issue that I've had to confront, and I actually started to really look at this issue because of women using the term. Interestingly, because I thought, well, surely if there's an issue with women who are coming across as pick me, then I was like, why don't I have more male friends? And then I thought, well, damn it, Danny, that makes you a pick me, you fool. No,
it doesn't work that way. Because I mean,
it does.
A pick me is specifically like about a specific type of internalized misogyny that kind of can only apply to women, and it's like about how you want the men to pick you.
Well, yes, I agree. Well, yes, literally speaking, yes, but it also goes to having an understanding of yourself, and I think it's important for both men and women to have same-sex friends.
Yeah,
that's it. So that is why I started my little gathering, and it's called Bros Watch Movies. And it's funny because whenever I bring it up to women, they're like, oh, you shouldn't exclude us. And then I tell them the movies we watch, and then they go, I would never want to watch that.
Are you watching like The Godfather, like Rambo? I don't know. This is where my brain goes.
It's not bro. I'm actually, we are going to go see The Matrix. There's like this crazy Matrix thing. So that's probably the most purely bro movie. But we watch movies that are very like Synecdoche, New York, Lost Highway. It's very like, I'm better than you sort of films.
Bye. Have fun, but not for me.
But yeah, I mean, I think that like this kind of like, I guess we could call it gender traitorism. It's really bad. And yeah, Sarah, I guess I wanted to open up because I found myself recently, and I find this a lot when I describe my dating experiences and stuff. And I guess to be hard on myself, there are things that I think other people find to be overly rigid. And oftentimes I just have these friends who will say like, you need to examine that about yourself, which I'm not a big fan of. And I found myself defensively saying, well, I'm not like the other guys. And it hurt. Ooh. It hurt as soon as I said it. I wanted to jump off a bridge.
Damn.
It was bad. Yeah.
It's okay. We've all done it.
It's because here's the thing. When I said it, I'm meaning more like women. I feel like women do have a perception of men as being completely emotionally unintelligent. And so it's kind of comes from a reaction to that. But like, I think for me, the truest nature of the pick me is being like, saying females is like, I'm already out.
Vomiting. Yep.
Terrible. I also, hot take, I think this idea that your spouse should be your best friend, and I'm not saying it doesn't work for some people, fine. But like, I don't necessarily think it's very hot and intimate. I think it's kind of cool to have a best friend. And that way you can save the spouse for the spouse role, you know?
Yeah. It's funny because I'm thinking about my vows. I'm like, will I say Ryan is my best friend? Maybe, because that's the thing you say. But we also like have friends. Like I know who his best friend is. I don't get all upset when I'm like, oh, Chris. Yeah. Oh, Chris is your best friend. I'm not your best. I'm like, yeah, no, you should have a friend. Like, I mean, he has many friends, but I'm like, I don't have to be your best friend. but I am your person you probably spend the most time with.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely, you know. Okay, well, I'm happy we unpack that. I mean, let me know if you have a better way to express to women that I've publicly released videos of me crying and hours of me crying over you leaving the podcast. I'm not like the other guys.
Yeah. I'll think on that.
So we talked about this on a previous episode, but I pulled this for Sara because, you know, I was very fascinated with, you know, we hear about the TV hoarders and it's so intense. So I sent Sara this comment. I wanted to read it for you guys because this to me was a very like smaller thing. And this is the 30 towels thing. And this is from the subreddit Guy Cry. And this is what he wrote. He said, it's rarely trash, but actual stuff that has monetary value to some, which is how she tries to justify retaining it. Currently, most of our closets are packed with clothes, towels, and bedding. So much so, we're a family of 4 and we have over 30 towels and 20 blankets with a lot of assorted bedding. There's also a lot of decorations, and I'm not talking about holiday stuff, which we also had a large volume of. Another popular item for her to collect are camping outdoor. Mind you, we have camped twice in 12 years, but we own 4 or 5 tents and a myriad of other stuff. Dishes, primarily for cooking, are also a hot commodity for her to retain in excess.
I mean, just because you didn't dig this stuff out of the garbage doesn't mean it's not trash. Like
applause break. I love that.
Open up a Poshmark account. You are going to see that clothing does not have a lot of monetary value. Like, yeah, you know, it's just, I don't know what this woman's like rationale. I mean, you know, hoarding is never really rational, but if they're excusing it by saying like, oh, but we could like sell it. It's like, unless you have designer clothing, you're not getting you're not getting anything for that. Like, that's basically just, you know, killing time before it ends up in a landfill, unfortunately.
I'm so grateful for that. I think it's so reasonable. I think it's a maturity thing. It's something that, you know, it's scarcity mindset manifesting in the concrete world. And, you know, I have these tendencies, you guys. I really do with electronics. Like I don't know how many audio recorders I have. I might have 9. It's like it's a crazy amount. And I could sit here and justify, and I think that's the other thing about it. It's like there always is going to be a justification, but as I've matured and slowly realized the trap, because I feel like another component, this does kind of combine with retail therapy. Because even if it's free, right? Retail therapy costs money, so that sucks. But even if it, like you said so perfectly, it's not in the dump yet. It's just waiting to be trashed. It's just trash to be.
Yeah, trash to be.
It's this dopamine thing or this good feeling of the potentiality of something. Yeah. And one thing that I actually love, not to go all one wheel on it, but it's given me satisfaction with time. And I feel like it's a big growth point for me is like how many miles I have on my one wheel. My one wheel has 2,400 miles. Wow. And that makes me feel really good because I'm like, yeah, this was an expensive thing, but like I've used it a lot. Mm-hmm. So it's like this thing of like, yeah, like shifting your focus from acquiring things to using things efficiently. And I think this will just actually beget a lot more happiness in addition to all the unhappiness that hoarding breeds because having clutter makes you feel kind of crazy.
Yeah, I agree. It's like we all have our things. I have too many clothes and I'm always like, oh, but what if like I have this very specific event and I'm going to need to wear like... It has happened before, but then it's like, okay, you get over it. Like it's not that serious, you know?
No, I have that still. Yeah, I have shoes. I bought all these fancy shoes when I was dating someone who was much fancier. And I'm like, what situation, Danny? What? But I can't get rid of them because they cost $200. I'm like, there's a $200 shoes.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll save it for the wedding.
Yeah, there we go. I'll bust them out. No, they're uncomfortable. I'm wearing the black Hokas. It's not illegal. Another thing you sent me here, which Brene Brown kind of threw in on this. So this is a term. It's kind of trauma dumping adjacent, and it's called floodlighting. So we were talking about this. And floodlighting is the practice of oversharing deeply personal information in a way that may seem vulnerable, but can actually have the opposite effect. It's more of a defense mechanism to protect the oversharer from true vulnerability. Lately, the term has been making headlines on Reddit, etc. It is an attempt to force a connection or create a false sense of intimacy with a potential new partner.
Like at first I sent this to Denny and I was like, oh, this is interesting. And then the more I parsed it out, I was like, this actually just kind of feels like an example of Cosmo magazine making up yet another extremely niche dating term. They had something else. Oh my God, it was so annoying. It was like not ghosting and not zombieing, but it was like another thing. And I'm like, okay, you guys are just like making stuff up. I'm like, what actually is this? I don't even understand what floodlighting is. Like, how? And I feel also this it hinges on you knowing what's going on in another person's brain. And nobody can ever know that. And I think that's kind of like the problem of like why gaslighting and these other terms are just like becoming nonsensical is because like, unless you've identified like a consistent pattern of behavior, like you don't know that that person is gaslighting you. Like they might have a different perception. They might also be lying as a one-off. So I don't know. That was my rant.
Okay, I'm not fully on board for the rant, TBH, but let's go to the first part of the rant, which I was on board for, which is they're always coming out with some crazy new term.
I'm going to find the one on Cosmo. I was like, you guys are just literally making stuff up to keep people subscribed to this magazine.
I click them.
I respect, but, come on.
They work on me. They're always like, yeah, it's called backtracking. And this means that somebody takes you on a hike and then leaves you there and it gets cold out. And so you cuddle with them and then you're married
actually.
to them. You're like,
and you're
what?
just like, this is so obscure. Like, who is this for?
Who is this for? Yeah, I mean, I don't know why. I guess because you know what? They always spell it like the new trend. Everybody's talking about it.
No.
I'm like, everybody's talking. I should be talking about it.
I'm like, you and your editors got together in a meeting and were like, what extremely niche. It's either like extremely niche or just like very normal experience can we give a wacky name. Now I'm annoyed because I can't find it.
So true.
Pissed. Anyway.
Yeah, so the second part about gaslighting, I get in this kind of like not spat with people, but just a misalignment. I don't really think a lot of these things are intentional. I don't know. This is my theory of intention. I sort of think living with intention and living very consciously and in a goal-oriented way is like peak human performance. I mean, for instance, it's actually very related to this hoarding discussion. It's like, God, this is a classic Danny move. I'll be like, I want to make more videos. And then, so to do that, I would buy a really expensive camera that I could barely afford. And do you know how many new videos are created by owning a camera? 0. And there's whole subreddits about this, like gear addiction syndrome. It's a very like, I guess in my experience, I have like a lot of male friends who do this. And yeah, it's really like, well, is this goal-oriented behavior? And it's like, kind of like it's in that vein, right? Like you can make the argument, but like ultimately it's actually a form of procrastination, moving away from the goal.
Totally. You're just like, oh, I need to buy all this stuff. No, you don't.
You don't.
Like,
and we tell
really
ourselves
don't.
the story because it feels good. It feels like we're moving toward the goal.
Yep.
And so, yeah, that's maybe my lighthearted way of saying I do think a lot of people who, gaslight or can't take accountability, are very defensive, things of this nature. I don't necessarily know that they recognize or are fully aware of what they're doing. I think they do it because they're very afraid and their goal isn't malicious, but that ends up being how the other person feels. No,
I mean, I agree. And I've said this before, just like having been in a relationship with a gaslighter, like the problem is it's like there's this perception that these people have this master plan to like destabilize you and everything. Right. And it's like that is the effect or like the impact. Yes. But having been on that other side, like this person was not this like calculated criminal mastermind. Like he just only wanted what he wanted, and like anything else that conflicted with that was like inconvenient and a problem that he needed to basically talk his way out of. So he would just like say and do whatever to like get rid of the problem, which was like me and my feelings, by just like making me think my feelings were invalid, essentially. And it's like, there's no master plan, right? It's just like, oh, I want what I want, and like, I don't want anything to get in the way of what I want.
Right. Right. Yeah, no, I think that's it. I think the master plan angle is actually a projection, because the headspace when people like you and I, because I think you and I are ruminators, we're overthinkers. And whenever I've been involved in dynamics like that, it leads me on this horrific path where I'm playing back all the interactions, and then it leads to me indicting myself. And I'm like, well, I said this and I said this and I shouldn't have said this and I could have worded that better. And it just won't stop. And because of that, I'm that much more vulnerable when they're just invalidating. I'm like, you're right. I mean, I'm a bad person. So what's to even really say? You're so right. And it's miserable.
Yeah, totally.
So going into this floodlighting, I actually think it's pretty related to all this, because what is vulnerability is kind of the key word here. And to me, floodlighting, I'm not seeing a way that this is really distinct from trauma dumping. I think this is a very similar thing. I don't think this is very conscious when people do it. I think they might do it for any variety of kind of reasons or lack of reasons. But I think vulnerability is a key word for me. And for me, when I say vulnerable, what that means is, if I were to call you, Sara, and say, hey, I want to tell you about something that happened, and I tell you, and then I'm like, so I'm going to do this and that. And you go, okay, I support you. That is not vulnerable, because I'm saying, this is going to go down. I'm going to tell you, I want you to support me. Mm-hmm. There's kind of no vulnerability there, because I'm not really opening the door for you to do much else except support me. I need your support on this, right? And there are times when you don't want to be vulnerable, like obviously where it would just be wildly inappropriate, where it's like you just want to be supported.
Yeah.
Whereas I think when it's a dump, when it's a floodlight, I guess for me, the mark is sort of, if someone's like just pouring all this stuff out on you, and you're saying like, oh, well, have you ever thought of like, no, don't tell me, have I ever thought? I don't want to explore this. I don't want to explore even that it's coming out. I just want to say it, and I want to go. And there's this kind of one-sidedness to the interaction that isn't paying attention to how the other person is maybe reacting or feeling in this moment.
Yeah, I mean, the dumping part, I understand. I just don't understand what floodlighting is, because it's like you're trauma dumping, but it says in an attempt to force a connection or create a false sense of intimacy. And that, again, to me, is going into like master plan mode, like where I can't get on board. And then if I'm the recipient of this alleged floodlighting, it's like, so I'm making a judgment call of like what you're doing and why you're doing it. And I just think like, I'm sorry, Brene Brown, but I think this term is like bogus. I haven't read her book on vulnerability, so maybe I need to read it, but I don't really understand the utility of it.
For me, where it rings true is, there's a rescuer thing, and I've been involved in situations where someone is going to share their hardships, what they've gone through. And I think, oh, I want to help them. I want to be a source of support for them. And so it was very effective. I had a lot more leniency for them and their behaviors, because I was like, well, they went through that really hard thing. And this is the support they need. And so, it's just one of those things that's so tough, because of course there's also people in my life who have gone through a hard thing, and I'm like, well, they went through the hard thing and I'm here for them. So it just, I guess I can say this, like in the way this is worded, a potential new partner very early on, not an established relationship. That is where I start to feel like it is manipulative. But to meet you, I think this is meeting you, is I don't think the person who's doing that is necessarily doing it with any negative intent or knowing that they're forcing a connection. I feel like they're probably just desperate.
That's
unloading.
how I feel. I'm like, we have a term for this, and it's trauma dumping, and the term doesn't imply some grand plan at the end of it. You know what I mean? That's just like my problem with these terms, is like, I feel like they ascribe malice to like something that might have a, sort of human explanation. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I guess I'm just like, when you're constantly like, oh, this person is like floodlighting me or this, like, whatever. It's just like, where are we gonna like end up? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's just like assuming the worst. I guess that's my problem, is like you're taking something that is like not great. It's not a like adaptive behavior or whatever, but like you're kind of assuming the worst and like ascribing something, you know, malicious to it.
Well, yeah, I mean, I posted this TikTok. It didn't do anyone, no one cared about it. But my angle is I think assigning malice is actually toxic. And it helped me a lot when I let that go, because here's the truth. Everyone in your life, you should be able to hold them accountable 100%. Of course. Of course. Why would you want to deal with people who are not accountable? That's very difficult unless they're 6 months old. You know, but the reality is, life has taught me not everybody is capable of accountability.
Totally.
Not everyone is capable of agency. There are people who go through things that are so unimaginably horrible that I could never, and I think this is the humility. This is humility of empathy, which is to realize I can never, for instance, an orphan. I can never understand what it is like to be an orphan. And I know people always say this. They go, well, you know, some orphans are good, well put together people. Sure. Some people are in head-on car crashes and walk away uninjured. But most of the time, something like that will have an incredibly transformative and probably negative effect, and is very difficult to overcome. And so that's why and also attributing malice to me puts a much darker spin on the world. For me, it's lot easier.
That's how I feel. Yeah, that's how I feel. I feel like all these terms and stuff has just like made people really, I mean, not want to be vulnerable. Like my friend was in like one of those "Are we dating the same guy?" groups, and people will post not even someone they're dating or going on a date with. They'll be like, should I match this guy? And it's
Good God.
If you can't even trust your own ability to filter someone on a dating app, don't date.
100%. 100%. Yeah, I mean, when I look at all the, you know, toxic relationships I have, and I feel so good about this because I want to let it go. And it's helped me let it go, to go, you know what that was? A bad relationship. They're not a bad person. I'm not a good person. That's not helpful for me. It just didn't work out between us, and I genuinely wish them the best. And the easiest way and a shortcut for that path is to not ascribe malice, but just be like, look, it didn't work out between us. They are who they are, and that's that, folks.
Yeah. Yeah. I did a similar thing where instead of like ascribing malice, I was like, this is just an extremely emotionally immature person.
Perfect. I love that.
Yeah.
It's freeing, you know, and I think people hear it as like excusing their behavior, which it doesn't, because like, I'm not saying lower your standards. No. I'm just saying call it what it is, and it'll probably be easier to understand as well.
Yeah. And like some people really are like cartoonishly evil like that, but I think most people are just like totally lacking in self-awareness and like some maybe like devoid of some empathy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of people are low empathy, not because they don't care about others. It's rather because they're so wrapped up in themselves, in their own problems, in their own traumas, in their own immediate needs, by the way. I mean, I've also had this thought. I'm like, you know, it's easy for me to say like, oh, I'm cooking for people and I'm baking for people. And I'm like, well, yeah. And I'm able to do that because I have time and resources to do that. It's a luxury.
Yeah,
you
totally.
know? It shouldn't be, goddammit, but it is.
Yeah, yeah.
So, great discussion, Sarah. Always good to have you. Yeah, so I sent you this TikTok, and I just thought it was interesting. So, this girl posted on TikTok, Alice May, MAYYXOXO, and so she basically tells the story, which I thought was really interesting. She dropped a couple quotes in here, but the long and short of it is, first thing this guy says to her, they have a couple great dates, she spends the night, and then he says his girl best friend was hot as F. First red flag. And
deeply.
Actually, this is a deep cut, Sarah, because I remember I learned that hot, I think I kind of knew, but I didn't actually know it like textually and intellectually, that hot is an illegal word. We discussed this. Like, I can't call you hot. I can call you like as my friend. I can't call you hot. I can call you
it
beautiful.
implies
Right.
like a sexual component, I feel.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Whereas like pretty, beautiful, to me, those are more aesthetic. But hot is like, there's another edge to it.
Interesting. Okay, I didn't necessarily think of it that way, but that makes sense. Yeah, I mean, they say go in heat. Is that?
I feel like that's why, like, you know that thing, that episode in The Office where they're like, is Hillary Swank hot? They're like, she's pretty, she's beautiful. But they're like, no, that's not the question. The question is she hot? Like, there's something else to hotness.
So right off the bat, given that kind of regime, we know that it's already kind of illegal to call your girl best friend hot.
Yep.
Then so she kind of lets it slide. Then she finds earrings. So she left earrings at his house. And she's like, weird. So that's how they get into that. But it's okay because she lives a couple states away, NBD. And then learns she's blonde. She then, and she's blonde, right? OP is blonde. So then she goes to his Insta, and instantly clocks the best friend from like the following, or so she's like doing some Insta stalking. And where it gets really juicy is, so then they keep dating. She kind of lets it slide. And then she has the idea that like everybody's living a trope, which I really loved. I don't know my trope yet, but she's like, yeah, your trope is you're in love with your best friend. And so now you love blondes.
Yeah.
Because she's blonde.
I see it.
She goes back and guess what she finds? Another pair of earrings.
Bro.
And
No, immediately no.
And she said that, and she was out. But I guess what I thought was really interesting is, and I find myself having, whenever I'm discussing interpersonal relationships with people, I feel like a lot of people want to live in Plaza D town. And I'm like, this girl knows what she's doing. Or maybe she doesn't consciously know, but what she is fucking doing she is marking her goddamn territory, baby.
I agree. Like once, fine. Twice, no. And also, if he's dating someone, why is his girl best friend like visiting from out of state, staying with him like multiple times?
And she wants you to know she's there.
Yeah, no.
I told my friend about this too, and she said, I said, what's up with this dynamic? And she said, well, it's just, it's a fun dynamic if you're not really concerned about the other person, right? To have someone who adores you, who you're never going to be with.
Totally. It's fucked.
I get it. But yeah, I thought it was interesting. I mean, this has been happening more. People leave stuff here. And I accidentally took my friend's AirPods. And then I was like, did I subconsciously do that so that she would have to come get them?
No.
I could have. I had my other AirPods in the pocket. So my brain, in theory, could have known AirPods in left and then put AirPods in right.
I guess that's true.
But I'm more likely to believe that my brain is like always err on the side of having too many AirPods. Because is there anything worse?
You're hoarding AirPods.
AirPods order.
Yeah.
Oh, man. All right, folks. Well, Sara, it's such a joy to have you. We're going to cover a couple of... Wow, I can talk. We're going to cover a couple of situations here. Second on the list, AITA for firing a teacher for moonlighting.
Ooh.
AITA. First up, folks, please rate, review, subscribe. Join me on Patreon. Hundreds of bonus episodes, at least over 100 with Sara. You'll love to see it, folks. Here we go. First up, it's AITA to my GF for liking a classmate's and friend's Insta post of her pole dancing.
Ooh.
Friend of mine from grad school is a pole dancer by sport. She takes it seriously and has won competitions. She's not a stripper and by no means posts anything that can be construed as a thirst trap. Her Instagram is mostly her pole dancing because she's an instructor and teaches. Her outfits consist mainly of athletic wear, gym, running shorts, tops, whatever. Every year, the school has a talent show, which I attended, and I didn't even attend to see her, nor did I know she'd be performing.
Wow, defensive.
Yeah, right? I followed this friend on Insta, and she posted her performance. I like to show my support, so I liked it. It's the only post of hers I liked. GF says she found this girl's profile through Suggested on IG and saw I liked it, which made her blow up. She called me a creep for liking a thirst trap, that it's disrespectful to her as my GF for liking it, and that if her friends saw it, it'd be embarrassing for her. She also said this when she blew up on me. It kind of disgusts me. You're looking at any other woman. I don't do that. I would never disrespect you like that. I would also not seek out attention like that from anyone or give it. I deserve the same, especially some lame ass pole dancer. That's just disrespectful. AITA.
Oh my God, no. I mean, his whole post reeked of someone who has a very controlling partner. And it's like, I didn't go just to see her. Like, I just happened to be in the building. Like, I swear, I wasn't, it's just like, well, OP did nothing wrong. I'm ready to drop a OP did nothing wrong. Because actually, one of my friends, like, does pole dancing. The only reason I feel very, like, ready to firmly side with OP is one of my friends does, like, a lot of pole dancing classes and post videos, and I'm like, I can picture exactly the outfit. It's probably what I wore to the Palotone studios, like a sports bra, bike shorts. It's very athletic, honestly. It's not like a sexual, like, you're not twerking up there. I mean, you could, but like, it's really more like an athletic thing.
Yeah, I think it could be a little dicey. I mean, obviously everything you said is true, but it's also, it's not archery. It's not bowling. Like, it is very exposing. So
yeah, but what if it was like ballet or like any other form of dance? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm kind of like, do I think it's first of all, let me just say, I do believe that the way the algos work is to feed people this kind of thing. In other words, I don't necessarily think you need to be creeping to find this information out. And I actually believe her. For instance, I would probably think that, your spouse's Instagram is going to, and then it's going to be like, your spouse like this. Like, that's something the algos will feed.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, I believe that she found it through the suggested people because it's like, oh, you might know her, like you have mutuals.
I think it's a reasonable thing to say to your guy, don't like, pictures of women with their bodies exposed on Instagram. I'm struggling to find it unreasonable, to be honest.
But that's such a blanket statement. That's such a blanket statement that it's like, how
for me,
can you apply that? Like, what is a body exposed? Like, yeah,
I don't know. For me, it's playing with fire. Just from everything I've learned about, women, beauty, pressure, jealousy. Do I think it's the healthiest impulse? No, not really. I'm like, I don't really think it's reasonable to be that jealous. That said, I'm like, is there any reason for me to be liking even a picture that even could be argued as having the faintest whiff of thirst? And you're 100% right. Is ballet thirsty? No. But the reality is that it does.
But some people would say, if someone would say too, if you're doing like modern dance and you're in a leotard and like tights, or they would say that's. So I don't know.
But there's nothing wrong with going to the beach. There's nothing wrong with going to the beach and wearing a little bikini there.
But then your body's exposed.
And your body's exposed. And I'm like, in the end, I guess as time has gone on, I do feel like it's just the reality of how the algos work, that your partner is probably going to see it. And they don't want to see that. They don't want to see that. You know what? Here's what I think it's.
But I'm also like, this is people and this is like a very non-sexual context. Like, I don't know. The whole thing just reeks of like distrust.
Yeah. Well. Yeah, but
insecurity.
Let me paint this IRL example for you. Imagine you're with your spouse or whatever, and you go to the beach with your friend, and everybody's in a bikini, which is perfectly normal. I would probably tell any husband not to say the following sentence to a woman: "I like that bikini on you." How about we don't say that? How about we don't fucking say that?
I don't think an Instagram like is like equivalent to "I like that bikini on you."
I feel like it's even softer. It's saying, "I like the bikini on you." It's not even saying you look good in the bikini. It's very indirect. And I'm just like, don't touch it. Don't fucking say it. Don't like it. For me, you just don't touch it. I mean, I'm saying touch it as in reference it. Don't reference it.
I mean, I just think it's like your friends. People like photos of their friends. You're like, hey, this is my friend. I just don't.
So you're unbothered. You're telling me if your fiance, you would not care.
No. If this was his friend who like I know does these dance competitions, I'm like, yeah. It's fine.
I think that's super reasonable. Wow. Okay. But yeah, I mean, I think it's great. I prefer that. To me, that seems healthy. It seems trusting. I understand it. I understand it. I'm like, I think this is understandably.
I think this girl's full of shit. Like, honestly, I think this girl's full of shit. She's like calling him a creep for liking a thirst trap. I don't think that's fair to call it a thirst trap. But then she goes, I don't even look at men. I would never look at another man. Like, shut the fuck. Like, that is, you don't live in reality. Like,
with you there. She
So,
bit off
I
way
think
more
this
than
girl's
she
full
could
of
chew. She bit off way more than she could chew. She broke all my conflict rules. She insulted him.
Yeah.
I think you're 100% right. It wasn't a thirst trap. That is an inaccurate characterization. This is ridiculous. These are a bunch of always and never statements. It's like, give me a goddamn break. I do think that she's the asshole. But I think, can we meet in the middle at all? Do you think of yourself, do you think your policy is very reasonable? Would you find, let's just say following this, right? So she apologizes. She said, I went too far, but I don't want you liking girls showing skin. That's what she says. I don't want to like you watching any girls showing skin on Instagram. Do you think that's unreasonable?
yes, because that means you have to get off Instagram. Like,
No, she's saying don't like it. You can look at it. Don't like it.
I don't know. I'm like, your friends. Like, she's wearing a tank top. It's just like, I don't know. I'm just like, that's an insane policy that's like impossible to enforce unless you're doing some kind of like draconian standards.
Okay. All right. Well, we're not quite aligning. I don't know. I think it's a little understandable. It's, I think it invokes jealousy. I personally agree with you, though. If my girl was liking a picture of a guy with abs, I would probably tickle her and I'd be
Well,
like,
it's
you like
like,
that?
is it a model who is like basically just
friend.
in their briefs? Or
No,
is
her
it
friend.
like her friend who happens to be like, at the beach?
Her friend
wearing
plays
just swim-
volleyball and he's showing off his abs in a volleyball picture and he looks hot.
I mean, this is like I just feel like this is a different context where it's like, it's, I guess the way I would compare this is like, this is an action shot of him like going to jump and spike the ball. It's fine.
That's pretty good. I mean, you got me there. Spiking the ball feels very difficult to indict on.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think, look, I think if the conflict is handled in a fair way, which is like, if she had said like, I know if she's pole dancing, it's a physical activity, I feel threatened by it. I think I would say, you know what? I'm perfectly happy to accommodate you because you're my girl and I don't want you to feel that way.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And to just say like, I know that she is not pole dancing, and like, I'm not trying to malign sex workers at all, but I'm just saying like, if she had said like, I know that she is not, pole dancing as a form of eliciting arousal, like I understand that, but there is
Right.
the association obviously with the sort of activity. I would say like, I understand that because of the association, whereas like nobody's going to a club to watch people do ballet to get hard, So,
That's almost like bro is so horny, he's classy about it. You're like, damn,
Yeah.
really? He's like, yeah, I'm gonna go see the symphony. That shit gets my rocks off. And you're like, honestly, I support that, Kyle. Like, go for it, man. That's good
Yes.
for you. I'm proud of your growth, brother. Yeah, dude, I'm going to the MoMA. There's some tits over there. So, all right, dude. That's, you know what? Good for you, man. I'm buying a membership.
yeah.
All right, AITA to my GF for liking classmate and friends Insta post. I think we agree that this was too far. The way this was handled, I think we're slightly misaligning. But I think we agree that it's not crazy to have this as a standard, but the way it's communicated has to be very clean.
Yeah, agree.
All right, folks. Next on the list is AITA for firing a teacher for moonlighting.
Oh, I listened to this one on the pod, so I'm excited.
Oh, we already did this?
Yes.
Oh, I'm losing my head. Well, we'll
But
do
I
it
want
again.
to talk about it. Okay.
Why? I don't remember this. Am I crazy?
Maybe
AITA
I'm confusing it.
AITA for fire a teacher for moonlighting. I-37F have a doctorate in education. I'm the principal of an elementary school. This year, I made it clear that recording social media videos inside classrooms was prohibited. I find it disgusting how our society exploits children online. It's a violation of privacy and is taking away from education time. I do not tolerate unprofessionalism at the sake of children. Last week, I received an email complaint from a parent with a link to a TikTok. Video went viral and showed the face of one of the teachers at my school talking to the class. No students were visible, but they can be heard speaking and goofing around. Parent was uncomfortable with even the chance of their child appearing in videos on TikTok. I thanked them and let them know the matter would be handled internally. I had a meeting with the teach. Teach got defensive, argued no students were shown in the video, and that they earned a sizable monetary check for the video going viral. By their admission, I terminated the teacher on grounds of moonlighting. They're paid to teach, not to create content. The teacher's parting words were that they were significantly underpaid and had no choice but to have a side hustle. I said they need to do it on their own time. They called me an asshole. AITA for firing a teacher for moonlighting.
No, I do remember that you guys covered this because I remember really disagreeing with what you all were saying. So
I remember now, fortunately.
I mean, first of all, I'm like, no, you were not fired for moonlighting. That's like such a like A to B to C jump. It's like you were fired for filming social media content on the job. And frankly, many of us, unless we worked in social media, would get in trouble for that. And even if we did, we would still probably get in trouble for filming for our own personal social media on company time. So like, no, you're not actually moonlighting it because you're doing it during work hours in your classroom.
Oh, okay. So OP did themselves dirty because they actually understated the charges.
The teacher, but yeah.
Yeah, well, OP fired the teacher.
Yeah. And the teacher's like, you fired me for moonlighting. And it's like, no, I fired you for another reason.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I agree with that. Example, you work at Joey's Bakery and after the morning rush, everybody buys their buns, hot cross buns. Why not? You then post a little TikTok to your personal account about a little story during your smoke break. Is that, in your view, not okay?
I mean, it could be. Like, I just think, some places are chill about it and some places are not. And, like, it's really up to your employer. But I think this person made it pretty clear. And also, like, you're a teacher. Like, I feel like this has come up with, like, doctors in hospitals. It's like, bro, you should not be doing TikTok dance in between patients. And it's, like, up to that hospital or schools or whatever, like, discretion. Like, if they want to say, don't be on your phone on the job, then, like, don't be on your phone making videos.
Right. Okay, well, let's go to a doctor. So a doctor is, first of all, surrounded by sensitive material.
Mm-hmm.
Children, I would say, generally are not. There's nothing really wrong about, for instance, showing, I guess you could show a child's name, but how would they tie it to a specific child? It's not a medical record. I mean,
first of all, it's not your child. So, and there is so many articles and studies about, what this person said, how kids are being exploited online, and it's like really gross and disgusting. And
but no child was exploited in this case. Isn't that right?
Yeah, not technically, but I see why the parent is not comfortable. Like, this person, I feel like, doesn't really take what this principal is saying very seriously, I think. And yeah, I'm also, it's like, you're in the middle of a lesson. Why are you filming a TikTok?
I don't know about that. Is that the case?
Well, if the kids are in the room and the teacher's in the classroom, class is probably going on.
The video showed the face of one of the teachers at my school talking to their classroom. They can be heard speaking and goofing around. I mean, it's just hard. It's hard for me to imagine how that could be really an issue in any practical way. I mean, what could that possibly entail?
I don't think it needs to be like, oh, this person is going to identify my child by the voice, but it's like, I just don't think that you should be filming TikToks during class, especially as the teacher.
Suppose they were a failed comedian, and not something I identify with, by the way. I start crying. And so then they were doing some good riffs during their little lessons. And so they recorded themselves, and then watching it back, they're like, this riff kind of kills. And then they put the riff out onto TikTok. I guess I'm really failing to see from a perspective of practical effects what practically is wrong with that.
I just don't think that that's like important, frankly. Like, these are children, and I think if like you're not comfortable with someone who's like videoing around your children and like posting them online, I think that's just like very reasonable. Especially because you kind of already know like how your workplace feels about this. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I guess for me, I'm just like, there's no harm. So this feels like an arbitrary rule. This parent can feel that way, but the reality is that your children could be anywhere and they could be filmed, and they weren't filmed. They weren't even really, I would say, captured. Rather, there was a sort of a crowd walla, which they happen to be a part of. And I don't really think that that's any privacy has been violated. I would say if this argument was, I'm the principal and they're told this is the policy and that's the policy, so I have to fire them, then I could actually be more on board. But that's not what they're saying. They're saying it's disgusting that that our society exploits children. Well, no children were exploited. There was no major violation of privacy. I mean, for me, their reasoning.
Yeah, but then you're going to wait until there is. Like, I think this person like doesn't take this seriously, and they're not getting fired for moonlighting. They're getting fired for like basically just not listening to this social media policy. She said they made it clear that recording social media videos inside classrooms was prohibited. Like, that seems pretty cut and dry to me. And this person is trying to like sort of nitpick the rules, you know?
But like I said, isn't there an ambiguity here? OP writes, they are paid to teach, not to create content for TikTok. But again, couldn't I be recording my lesson plan? That's a video that I'm later rechanneling into TikTok.
I think if you're doing it outside of the school, like, that is fine.
I am doing it. I'm posting it outside of school. I shot the video during school because it was my lesson plan. Which,
but no,
by the way,
I don't think that's fair.
Why?
Because this person said it's prohibited.
But what is prohibited? Because my question to you is...
Okay.
My question to you is, if I film my lesson plans to optimize them, to learn what's killing, because I'm trying to make the fucking 6th graders laugh really hard, what's wrong with that?
I don't think anything's wrong with it. I think this person has a problem with like it being posted publicly.
Well, why aren't I allowed to post it? It's my content that I made.
I just think we're not going to disagree. I mean, we're not going to agree on this because I just like deeply don't think it's like okay because you're making a decision involving people's kids that are not your kids.
The kids aren't in the video. Fine. But do you agree with me that Joey's Bake Shop on my smoke break?
I think if Joey doesn't mind, then you can do
Joey
whatever
minds.
You want.
Is Joey an asshole if he says, there's no fucking TikToks when you're on my fucking bakery property? Okay? Is he being an asshole considering it does not affect the business or any of the customers for someone to be shooting a fucking TikTok during their smoke break?
I really don't know. I mean, it's like...
Okay.
Their business and they can do what they want.
Well, that's their right. I agree with you legally. But the question to me is, does it make you an asshole to be a hard ass when, let's face it, no one is being impacted. There's no actual negative impact beyond a parent who needs to get a hobby, making a fuss about a non-incident. Their child was not captured. For me, that's how this is. It sounds like we are stuck at an impasse, though.
Yeah.
Horror Candy writes, YTA, she has a point, and by your own admission, no child was exploited. Streetboard 994
I guess
replies.
I think someone who is already going into it with this mindset of like, how can I skirt around this very clear rule? And they're already incentivized because they're like trying to make money on this. So you're going to try to keep pushing the algorithm to see how many more views you can get. I kind of think you don't wait until I mean, listen, I don't really know about the process of like firing a teacher, but I can understand of like, you don't really want to wait until they continue pushing the boundary.
I like what you're saying, but that's not what OP is saying. OP is invoking other things that I'm less comfortable with. They said, I don't like the precedent this sets. My authority is being disrespected.
Well, it kind of is true because they had a very clear rule and the person disobeyed the rule. And then instead of being like, you know what, I'm sorry, like they're kind of digging their heels in and trying to make this about another thing.
I mean, I guess to see your side here, the fact that somebody is complaining is an issue. They are sort of a customer, so to speak.
Yeah.
It's just, I think for me, the context is important. Let's go to the doctor, right? A doctor, if my fucking doctor is making a goddamn TikTok, I'm going to be pissed because I'm like, bro, like, tell me I'm not paying up the ass to be here and you're fucking around on TikTok.
Yeah, but then I could say the same thing to you of like, if they're in the office and there's no forms visible and they're just doing like a trending dance, like it doesn't actually impact or reference your sensitive medical information at all, but like,
well, but I think I plead reality is real because I'm like, well, yeah, and a doctor is also making $300,000 a year, whereas a teacher is making $36,000 a year. And so, yes, to me, that does factor in. Like, I expect you to comport yourself and not be running any kind of a side hustle when you're making buku bucks, baby.
Interesting.
Whereas you're at Jerry's Bake Shop having your smoke break, or you're a teacher, you know, scraping by. I'm like, yeah, let them like free channel their lesson plan. Like, I don't understand the issue. For me, it feels...
I think you could rechannel your lesson plan, like just film yourself at home. I think you're like involving the kids in it, and that's just like a very like dicey territory, frankly.
That wording is hard to escape. It does involve the kids. It involves the kids.
Thank you.
I think that's hard to escape.
Thank you.
I don't like the way OP made their case, but you're making a good case, a better case than they have.
Okay, I'm principal of the school.
I don't think it's a violation of privacy. I don't think it's really unprofessional, and I don't think it's at the sake of the children. However, I do think it is correct to say it is involving the children, and that, for me, is going to do it. You're right. You're right. It involves the kids. There's no way around it. You are involving the kids. For your social media presence, I think you got me. AITA for firing a teacher.
Woo!
For moonlighting, I really don't like OP, but I think Sara is right. It's not Jerry's Bake Shop because you're involving the kids. That's it.
All right.
All right, you got me. Well done, Sara. Hats off.
Thank you. Whew.
All right, folks, please rate, review, subscribe. Join me on Patreon, 250 plus bonus episodes. Every single episode ad-free. We love to see it, people. Get on there, please. It's $5 freaking, guys. Please.
And that is literally less than a cup of coffee now. I don't know if that's one of your marketing ploys, but...
I'll try everything. These guys aren't joining. People, there's a kind of listener who's like, I've listened to every episode. I'm like, wow, you've listened to all 700 episodes. And they're like, well, not the bonus. I'm like, why? Why is the line where I could benefit? They're like, well, I don't want you to have half a coffee on my dime once a month.
Half a coffee. I went into my office. I got a latte at the place downstairs. It was $9.
It's crooked. I
Criminal.
mean, everything is $1 million now. It's so upsetting, but we're going to get through it, folks. We're going to get through it. And yet Sara won't let a fucking teacher make a TikTok banger, folks. It's Sara's regime. All right, guys, we're going to wrap up.
Yes.
AITA for making my sister's gender reveal cake gray because she wouldn't tell me the gender. I, 23M, bake as a hobby. And I'm actually pretty good at it. Like, I get paid under the table for weddings and baby showers, kind of good.
Danny, did you write this?
I know, right? Did I? This is freaking me out. My sister's the pregnant and wanted me to make the cake for her gender reveal. Cool, no prob. I asked her to send me the info, classic pink or blue fill. She says, oh no, I want to be surprised too. Just make it neutral for the reveal. We'll find out together. I was like, I'm sorry,
That's
what?
not how it works.
You want to start a gender reveal cake with no gender revealed? She says, okay, I'll have someone email the info. Problem is, info never came. Deadline comes. I still have no gender, so I make the cake. It's gray inside, gray outside.
Oh.
Full on cement. I even added little fondant clouds for effect. It still tasted great, but visually grim as hell. The reveal day comes, and I still have no gender, so I make the cake. It's gray, 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 gray. They cut into it. Sister looks pissed. Husband's confused. People start murmuring. Then she pulls me aside. Why would you make it gray? That's so passive aggressive. I calmly reminded her that no one told me the gender. I had no data. I told her it wasn't about to guess or go full improv on someone's baby cake.
Imagine. Oh my God.
Now my mom says I embarrassed her in front of the family and that I should have tried harder. Tried harder to do what? Summon the gender through vibes? AITA for making the most neutral reveal cake in history.
Well, you can do that now. I'm just kidding. You can summon the vibes. This is so funny because it's like, I feel like I want to say that the OP was wrong, but I do think that this is hilarious.
Here's my question for OP. Have you heard of yellow? Babe, you're going to love yellow.
Yeah. Green. The gray, I think the gray was like a very deliberate choice to like be an asshole. I think if they were just like, so I made a yellow cake, like you said, we would say, fine.
You are going to love yellow, my man. That is the color for you.
It is.
Yeah, I mean, this to me, it's just, I don't even know how you get there. I'm guessing black and white food coloring. Have you made something gray?
I did because
what?
My friend had a Great British Bake Off themed party, and one of the like challenges was to decorate a cookie as one of the birthday girl's favorite people. So I decorated a cookie to look like my dad. I won.
That's
I won
cute.
the challenge.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Yeah, so OP kind of clarifies that they did follow up to double check, and they said, quote, I did follow up, asked her a couple days before the reveal if the info had been sent. She just said something like, yeah, someone's taking care of it. I figured it was handled. Oh, sorry, they're a male, and I shouldn't do that accent. I figured it was handled. I don't want to pester her since she seemed chill about it. If she really wanted the gender in the cake, she could have double checked too. I was relying on the system she set up, and it just didn't come through.
I get it, but it's also just like, it clearly wasn't handled because you didn't have the information and you made a great cake.
Nobody would make a gray cake. That's non-standard. Yeah. It's not a thing.
So it's just like, okay, you thought it was handled, but your lack of critical information shows that it obviously wasn't. And then instead of just doing something like nice, like a good old yellow, you were like, no, I'm going to choose the most passive aggressive color possible so that everybody knows that I didn't get the information,
This reminds me, so there's a Oliver Sacks story. Danny, I hate when you quote neurologists that are dead. But he has a story about a guy who was in a bizarre accident and actually loses the ability to see in color. He sees in black and white. And it was very hard for him to eat because food looks super gross when it's gray.
Ooh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a super appetizing color. There's really no food that's gray. I guess salt is kind of white, really.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking, like, what cake color is worse than gray? And I was like, white is fine, black is okay. Even brown is obviously fine.
It's chocolate.
Yeah, I'm like, gray is the worst one you could have picked, I think.
Yeah, you're right. There's really no way to go that's wrong except gray because it's not the color of a food.
Yeah.
Dang, is there any food that's gray? There really isn't. Ice is kind
turkey burgers.
Yeah. Good God. Yeah, I think this is just this was hostile. I mean, this guy, he knew what he was doing. He was 23. He's apparently a great baker, but not a great he wanted to why would you don't mess with someone's gender reveal party. Come on.
Yeah.
Also could have done pink blue mix. That could be cool. Half pink, half blue. Then you just rotate the cake.
There was like I feel like there were a lot of ways out of it. I think he just wanted to be like, hey, everybody, my sister fucked up.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's like, bro, calm down. I think also the hate for these has really faded. I mean, I feel like we came to this point, but it's like, what's wrong with a party, really, when it comes down to it?
I think as long as you're doing something normal that's not going to like set fire to half the country,
Right.
like whatever. Yeah, bake a cake, do well, balloons are bad for the environment, but like some people like pop a balloon and it's the confetti, something low key.
So he says he made, I'm with that, fondant icing. And since I'm in my baking era, I've got to see what this is. It's sugar.
You know what fondant is? It's like the hard
Fondant?
icing.
Oh, it's sometimes gelatin and glycerin. Okay. Yeah, I mean, this is a problem I have, because Danny's cakes don't really have icing. I've only made icing once. Because let me just say, I feel like icing is such a fucking diva. You put icing on a cake, it's the icing show now.
True. But I love a good buttercream.
Oh, God. And it's so easy to make, too. I mean, it's literally... That's the thing, too. Icing is like cookies. Once you make it, you're like, oh, that's what that is. Like, it's fucking mainly powdered sugar. It's just sugar.
And like butter. I think all roads lead to butter for us.
It's crazy how many roads lead to butter. It's really just wild. And yet people judge me for eating butter straight. But that's pretty much what you're doing when you eat a cookie.
That's their problem. Okay, now that I know that you don't make your cake with icing, I could understand how you could eat a whole cake.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm happy we were able to see eye to eye there, yeah.
Because then it's like, it's chocolatey bread, you know?
Exactly.
How do you stop?
I like it vanilla-y, just a nice little vanilla-y, just a touch. And actually, this is a compliment that's been given to me. They say, I like that it's not too sweet. Because I just like a nice little delicate cake, and I can just eat it over the course of 3 hours, and I don't feel like a pig.
Now I want cake.
The other sort of quote unquote microaggression is women will kind of be like, you made this from scratch. And I'm like, what does that mean? Like, do you think I tilled the fields, or do you think I mixed the 5 ingredients it takes to make a goddamn cake? I think I can.
Well, it just means like you didn't go to the grocery store aisle and get it in a box and add like 1 egg and put it in the oven.
I know, and now that I'm in this era, I am like, it is such a joke. I'll never buy a mix again. It's such a scam. Everything is literally flour and like 1 other ingredient, bro. Like literally it's 3, like, okay, what is it? Baking powder, salt, sugar.
It's so true.
Like, homie, you're
it's
done.
Like not that complicated.
It's really not. And the raw ingredients are like, I mean, flour is literally like, do you have $5? Okay, you now have enough flour to kill someone with if you want. Like, bro.
True.
I actually bought a cake decorating kit. So I want to make like really corny, like frosting art at some point. So I'm building to it.
With the fondant.
Yeah, I guess so, right? Make some hard fondant. Well, Sara, this has been an absolute blast, and it's so good to see you.
You too. This was so fun. Thank you for having me.
We didn't even talk about your stand-up journey, but yeah, obviously everybody follow Sara Lamim.
Thank you. And if you are on Peloton, if you take Hannah Corbin's Intervals and Arms ride from May 17th, I do get a shout out. She mentioned me by name.
There we go. All right, folks. Well, that's the app. Check out Sara on Palotone, and I never thought I'd say that. And we'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.